This is class 4. Yeah, class 4. Wow. Class 4 on Masechet Sanhedrin. We're in Daf Sadi Aleph, Amud Aleph, in the middle of the page. Tanur Banan. So we have a series of stories where a person called Geviha ben Pesisah, he wasn't formally a rabbi. Otherwise, we would refer to him as Rabbi Geviha ben Pesisah. But apparently he was a great attorney, very legal mind, and he was sent to Rome, to Greece, Alexander the Great, to defend the Jewish people from the detractors of the Jewish people. So we have a series of stories. We read one last week, and I think this is the second one, if I'm not mistaken. Tanur Banan, the Isrim ve'arba'a ben Nisan, on the 24th day of the month of Nisan, meaning a few days after the holiday of Passover, Itnatilu di Mosnaem Yehuda Yerushalayim. Those people who capture pieces of land with violence, those people, pirates, who go to a piece of land. There was Goyim. Let me explain to you. There was Goyim in Israel, and the Goyim don't care about the law, so they just take a piece of land and say, this is our land. So they call it Dimos Na'eh. So on this day, the 24th of Nisan, is a happy day, because on that day, these Dimos Na'eh, these violent usurpers of land, they were kicked out of Judea and they were kicked out of Yerushalayim. Why? What happened? So we're going to study the story of what it was that took place. The women's class is in that room. Yeah, in that room. Yeah. What it was that, man, my wife is doing much better than me. She has at least a minyana woman. Like, we usually have like 12, 13 when she's got all. It's a sushi. I'm telling you, it's to have sushi there. It's not fair. Okay. All right. I wish you got sushi next week. What do you say? Sushi? Yeah. Okay. Well, speak the mic. Right. You got.
I have some pulp.
Oh, you have some pulp. Okay. All right. So here's what happened. A people from Africa. They came, Ladunim Israel, Lifnei Alexandros Mokedon. They came before Alexander the Great. And one of the nice things of Alexander the Great is because he controlled all the territories, he was also able to resolve some disputes between the nations. And he said, look, I'm the emperor. Like, I'm going to decide what I decide, right? So if I like somebody, I like them. If I don't like them, I don't like them. So these people from Africa, they decided, Northern Africa, Berbers, they decided to go to Alexander the Great and make their claim. They said, we have a claim against the Jewish people. Amnulo, and they said as follows, Eres Canaan, Shilali. The land of Canaan belongs to us, because if you look at Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Jewish people, Yefet, Western world, and Ham. Ham was the African nations. Part of the African nations was the Canaanites, right? So the Canaanites are actually an African nation. Now, what is Israel called? Eres Canaan. So Eres Canaan is Canaanite, and it's true, by the way. It's correct. Eres Canaan is a Canaanite nation, and I think I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I do not associate the Palestinians with Ishmael. I don't associate them with Israel, right? What they did is beyond, nobody from Ishmael, even not that I'm a fan. I'm not a fan of, Islam and all that, don't get me wrong. But what they did was just beneath anything that any humanoid created in the image of God would do. These are actual beasts, They're from Ham. They're descendants. The Palestinians are descendants of Ham, and they are from the original Canaanites. So what happened is that there's a mixture within the Palestinians of Amalek together with Canaan, just so you know what that's about. So it's not Ishmael, in my opinion. And again, I'm not a fan of Ishmael. The Pasuk says, I'm not trying to like this, but there's a limit to even what Ishmael would do. There's a limit to what Ishmael, they passed that limit, right? So these Canaanites, they're the lowest of the low. They came before Alexander the Great and they said, look, we're Canaanites, and it's called the land of Canaan. Dichtiv, Eres Canaan ligvuloten. If you look at the Torah, when it delineates the Shalom Aleichem, here, we have a book right here open, when it delineates the borders of Israel, it doesn't refer to the borders of Israel. It says, Eres Canaan, the land of the Canaanites. We're Canaan. And Canaan is our ancestor. We are descendants of the Canaanites. So they're telling Alexander the Great, look, what are you doing here? It's like you're in charge. Bring some order here, right? So they get a letter. The Hachamim are in Eretz Yisrael. They get a letter. The letter is, you are summoned to the court of Alexander the Great, and the complaint against you is that the Canaanites say, we really deserve the land of Israel. You are interlopers. That's the claim. So now they have to answer the claim. You have the place, by the way?
No.
All right, so I'll show you the place. So, right, it's in Hanuin Shavu. 1 second. Oh, where? Here it is. Aman lehu Gevi ben Pesisa. Okay? So Gevi ben Pesisa, now as I said, he wasn't a rabbi. If he was a rabbi, he would refer to as Rabbi, but he wasn't. But he was a good Tamid Chacham, very intelligent. Gevi ben Pesisa tells the Chachamim, look, you shouldn't go. Let me go. I want to go to Alexander the Great. I want to go to Macedonia. I want to stand in the court of Alexander the Great and defend the Jewish people. Tenu li reshut ve'elech. Give me permission, and I will go. Ve'adun imahem. I know how to deal with these people. Don't worry. Lifnei Alexandros Mokedon, in the presence of Alexander the Great. And you know what you should send me? Im yenaschuni, if it ends up that I lose the case. Imru hedyot shebanu nisachtem. You could say, this guy's a regular. He's not even a rabbi. He's nobody. He's nobody. The guy came and he said he's representing the Jewish people. He doesn't represent us. Who is he? He's nobody. He's not even a rabbi, right? So say I'm idiot, right? And if I win, you know what you tell them? I'm not going to take credit. I'm not going to take credit. I'm going to leave the credit to the Torah. The Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be the source of our victory. Meaning, I'm not doing this for honor. I'm not doing this because I want people to applaud when I come back. Look at the hero. Heroes welcome. I don't want a hero's welcome. I just want to defend the Jewish people. Give me the opportunity. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. They said, okay, go for it. And he's in the court, and the Canaanites are there, and they're having this back and forth discussion. Today, we have the UN. So the UN was right. I never heard that one before. That's a good one. United Nazis. I like that. Yeah, but I think Israel should withdraw from the UN. I think I could be mistaken, but I think last week they appointed Iran as the head of the Human Rights Commission of the UN. I mean, it's almost a comedy, like if somebody like in the Yamot HaMashiach, they made a comedy. Mel Brooks comes to Techiyat HaMetim, and he makes a comedy about what it was like here, and he did that movie. They say, come on, it's right, it's not even funny anymore because it can't be. It's so ridiculous. But it is. This is real. UN, head of the Human Rights Commission, the country that trained and funded the worst massacre, maybe one of the worst massacres, not by number, but probably one of the worst massacres in human history. You can't even imagine something worse being done to human beings than what they did to human beings. I mean, it could be
in a single day.
Right, in a single day. Really, it could have been one of the worst massacres in human history. So the people who funded and trained these terrorists, they're the head of the Human Rights Commission. I just love it. Really? Well, Mel Brooks is going to have an easy time when he comes back. Okay, but Alexander the Great was obviously a person with integrity. So say what you want. He's listening to the two sides, and he's telling them, he's going to give them the decision. So here's what happens. So he says, Amar lahem, so Gevi ben Pesisa speaks to the Canaanites. He says, tell me, what is the basis of your claim to the land of Israel? Amru lo min Torah. They said, from the Torah, from the Jewish Torah. You wanted the Jewish Torah? Is that it? Oh, good. You know what? If this is the basis for our discussion, I accept it. We will use the Torah as the authority to determine whether or not the land of Israel belongs to the Jews or belongs to the Canaanites. And you're saying it belongs to the Canaanites because it's called Eres Canaan. Okay, fair enough. So you're Canaanites? Yeah, we're Canaanites. Perfect. Shneimar, I'll bring you a verse, and it says as follows: Vayomer Arul Kenan Eved Avadim Yelechav. The verse says that when Noach left the Teva and then he planted a vineyard and he got drunk and he lost his mind and he's walking around dressed inappropriately, the two sons of Noach, Shem and Yafet, they see it, they're horrified, they cover up their father. It's Aib. Chazit, the guy's drunk, he doesn't know what he's doing. Kenan, Ham rather, the father of Kenan, he's enjoying this, how funny, how hysterical. So when Noach, he wakes up and he realizes what happened, he curses Kenan, and he says he's going to be a slave of slaves to his brothers. That's what the Torah says. Now, there's a law that says as follows, that, I'll explain to you the law. The law says, Mashikana Eved, Kana Rabo. The law is that, let's say, in Judaism we have slavery, but I don't like the word slavery, because the truth is, our slavery was different than the slavery that was practiced by America in the days before the Civil War, or that's practiced today by Arabs. But the Palestinians, they have black slaves. They actually sell black babies as slaves till today. Till today. It's common in the Arab world, right? I just love it, by the way. It's always great to see black Americans with Hamas flags. I suggest they go to Gaza, see what they do to them there, or the black queers. That's another regular queers. Why black queers? Just regular queers. That's precious. That's precious when they're walking around. Go to Gaza. We'll pay the ticket. You'll see how nice they are with you.
Yeah.
So we called. I like the word servitude more than slavery, because really it was servitude. Because you couldn't just beat your slave to death. Like it might be goyim, you could do whatever you want to the slave. By us, not so. But as a matter of property law, yes, what the slave would get belongs to the master of the slave. Mashikana eved, kana rabo. So the Torah says you are a slave. Eved shekana nechasim, eved lemi. If a slave acquires some sort of property, he finds a wallet on the street, he finds something on the street, right? Who does the slave belong to? Belongs to his master. Unchasim lemi. Who do the assets of the slave belong to? Belong to the master. That's the law. So you want to use the Torah? Beautiful. We'll use the Torah. You are the slaves of your brothers, and therefore whatever you have belongs to us. There's, I would even say it further. He's going for a counterclaim. What is a counterclaim? Sometimes you go to court, you sue somebody, and then the defendant, not only he wins, but he wins a countersuit against you, right? So he says, I have a countersuit against you. Countersuit? What do you mean? We came here to take the land of Israel from you. Well, you're not going to get the land of Israel, but if we're in court, let's talk about something. What do you want to talk about? Well, you're supposed to be our slaves. You said that you agree with the Torah. The Torah says you are slaves. If you are slaves, well, you didn't work for us recently, right? And if you didn't work for us, you better pass damages. Pass damages for all the centuries and centuries and centuries and thousands of years since Noah that you were supposed to be working for us, but you're not working for us. So this is what he says. Amar lahem, harei kama shanim shelo avatunu. Amar lahem Alexandros Malka, achaziru lo tshuva. Alexander the Great, again, he was a fair person. He says, okay, you wanted me to rule this, and I think that the Jewish people have a good claim against you. You have to pay them damages for not working. Amru lo tnu lanu zeman shel osha yamim. They say, listen, it's not fair. We need 3 days to answer. Give us a pause, a ceasefire. Please, just give us 3 days. And I think they're talking about this pause now for 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. Natan lahem, Zeman. He says, okay, in 3 days, you're going to come back to court, and we're going to rule about this counterclaim that the Jewish people now want you to pay damages for not acting properly. You should have been in servitude of the Jewish people, and you are not. Badku velo masu teshuva. They checked and checked. They were looking in the Torah, looking. There has to be something that it says something good about the Canaanites. Does it say anything good about the Canaanites in the entire Torah? No, it doesn't. Nothing. Okay, Baruch Hu. They didn't even go back to court. They just ran away. Well, yeah, they ran away. And all the real estate that they had in Israel, they had fields in Israel, they had orchards in Israel, and the fields were all fully planted. And there was vineyards, and the vineyards had grapes on them. And that year was a sabbatical year. Now, why is that important to know this was a sabbatical year? You asked earlier. And the answer is because on a sabbatical year, people wouldn't work in agriculture. So there was less agricultural productivity, and sometimes it could be a food shortage. There was no food shortage. There was all these fields that they were working on during the sabbatical year, had tons and tons of food in it, and the people were able to eat very comfortably without any problem. So when you follow the laws of Shemitah, Hashem always makes miracles. I remember in Israel, there was a farmer in Israel who would always follow Shemitah. There was always miracles happening to his farm where suddenly nobody would have, and he would have what everybody wanted. I'm talking about modern day Israel, right? So here this is a miracle. It was a Shinata Shemitah. They were running low on food, and then they got all the fields of these Canaanites. Shuv Pam. Another story. Shuv pam achat, ba'u bnei Mitzrayim ladun im Yisrael. This time the Egyptians came and they come before Alexander the Great, unrelated to the previous story. Unrelated. It's a completely separate story. They come before Alexander the Great and they tell him, Amru lo, harei hu omer. The pasuk says as follows: V'Adonai natan et chen ha'am hazeh be'einei Mitzrayim v'yashilu. The pasuk says that when the Jewish people left Egypt, God placed the grace of the Jewish people in the minds of the Egyptians. So suddenly they were like, wow, these Jews are good. We love them. And what happens? Vayashilu. What does Vayashilu mean? They gave as a gift, but it's called matana. Vayashilu. Now let me explain to you what the word Vayashilu means in this context and what Vayashilu means in other contexts. In this context, Vayashilu means they said, please take this. Now sometimes you don't want to take it because it's, you have your dignity. It's okay. No, I'm lending it to you. I'm lending it to you. Right now, the guy's leaving Egypt. He's never coming back again. There ain't no flights from the Sinai desert to Egypt in those days. But meaning it was a nice way of saying, please take this as a gift, right? But you wanted to save the dignity of the person receiving it. So you say, no, it's okay. You return it whenever you want to. Meanwhile, go to Eretz Canaan. When are they going to go back to Egypt? Never. Okay. So Vayashilu means literally to lend something to somebody, right? So that's the basis of the claim of the Egyptians against the Jewish people. Tenulanu kesef v'zahav shenitaltem mimenu. Give us, return to us all the silver and all the gold that you took from us, right? Amar Geviha. I just realized. It's recording. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Let me just take this out. Yeah. No fancy mics. All right. But it's right next to me, so it should be fine. Okay. Amar lahem. So now Alexander the Great sends a summons to the Jewish people. They're sitting in Israel, in Jerusalem, and the Hachamim receive the summons, and the summons says, you are invited to the court. You are summoned to the court of Alexander the Great because there was a claim against you. Amar Gebiah ben Pesisa, the same Gebiah ben Pesisa, he comes before the Hachamim and he says, Tenuli reshut, give me permission. Ve'elech ve'adun imahem lifnei Alexandrus. Let me be the one that enters the judicial proceeding in the presence of Alexander the Great. If they defeat me, no problem. Imru. Hedyot shebanu nisachtem. Say, this guy he's nobody. We want to have a fancy barrister or an attorney. So they can give you Yabin Pesisa. He's a hunchback. Who is he? Right? And if I win, I'm not doing it for my honor. Imru lahem Torat Moshe Rabbeinu nisachtechem. You can say it's not Gebiah ben Pesisa's intelligence. Say it's the wisdom of the Torah. Same scenario as before. Yes, sir.
He doesn't lose that claim once he won the first argument?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
He's going to know who he is.
Right, and because now this is the second time that he's coming before Alexander the Great, and yet the interesting thing is that for some reason, Gebiah ben Pesisa, you know what it's like? You come before a court, and you have a lawyer. Now the lawyer, is representing you. Fair enough. You win the case. Great. Have another case. Same lawyer represents you. Okay? Now the judge doesn't know that the lawyer isn't admitted to the bar. But nobody raised it. Right? There's a lot of lawyers practicing out there that were never admitted to the bar. How are you supposed to know? Sometimes you catch them. You find the guy's never a lawyer. But I heard of cases where there was doctors who were practicing medicine who really didn't. Okay, no problem. Now, if there's a problem, the second time around or the third time around, you can tell the judge, I just found out this guy isn't even admitted to the bar. Meaning, you're not going to reveal it to the judge the first or second time, but you have it as a card, right? So as a card, you're saying, I think like Donald Trump wanted to have a jury trial. He didn't have a jury trial. He can't use that as a claim because apparently when he went to court, there was some form he had to fill out. But if there wasn't that form and now there's a trial and there's no jury, he would be able to raise the argument, hey, there's no jury trial. What you won, but there was no jury trial. Yeah. He can't raise that argument because he already revealed his card by checking that form. But here they never told him. So they always have that card that they can use just in case. Yeah. Right. So that was a claim. So if Gebiah ben Pesisa comes, Amalem, Ani lo avir lachem. I'm sorry. He says, where are you bringing Your proof that we owe you money? Where do we owe you money? Amru lo min Torah. They said, we're going to bring the Torah. We believe in the Torah. How beautiful. You believe in the Torah? Good, okay. No problem. I'll bring you a proof from the Torah as well. Shne'emar. The pasuk says as follows. Umosha b'nei Israel. This is only a few pasukim afterwards, by the way. Only a few pasukim after it says that the Egyptians gave us they gave us utensils of silver, utensils of gold, and some beautiful fabrics. It says, Umosha b'nei Israel, the residents of the Jewish people, that they resided in Egypt, lasted Sheloshim Shana, was 430 years. That's what the pasuk says. Now the truth is, Beni Ubenak, between us, the Jewish people were not in Egypt for 430 years. You don't have to tell this to the Egyptians in the court of Alexander the Great, because they're like, what do they know? You want to set up with us? Go for it, buddy. We'll take you to the cleaners also. Now the truth is, the Jewish people were actually in Egypt for 210 years. 210 years. What happened? Avraham Avinu was told in Berit ben Abetarim. Avraham Avinu was 70 years old.
He told him 400, right?
Right. Oh, so no. I'll explain. First of all, he did say 400. So I said 430. Okay. So Avraham Avinu Berit ben Abetarim. God tells him, listen, you should know that your descendants, your son will be a ger in a country that doesn't belong to him. And then they will be slaves for 400 years. They will be enslaved for 400 years. And then when they leave, they're going to leave with a lot of property. That's a pasuk. So God is telling Avraham Avinu, your descendant will eventually go down to Egypt, a country that's not theirs. When they get there, they will be enslaved by the Egyptians 400 years. So 400 years means from the point that Yitzchak was born till the point that the Jewish people left Egypt was 400 years. Now, Avraham Avinu was 70 years old in Berit ben Abetarim. He had Yitzchak when he was 100. So 30 plus 400, 430 years. So when it's saying 430 years, it's saying exactly as God told Avraham Avinu that after 430 years, they will be left Egypt. On that day, they left Egypt. But it's going to be the same thing with the Mashiach. We're going to find out when the Mashiach comes what the date is, and we're going to look back and we're going to see how it's alluded to in Pesukim of the Torah. We're going to see that. I mean, exactly. Well, let's put it this way. Okay. And I spoke about it in the Knis 2 weeks ago. Did they talk about it in the Torah? They mentioned that when the war took place with the Melachim, Avraham Avinu, the world war described in Perashat Lech Lecha, Avraham Avinu was 75 years old. So Avraham Avinu was born in 1948 in the Hebrew calendar. The war took place 2023, which is Israel is 1948, 75 years to the state of Israel. This is the year 2023. They didn't mention that?
No.
I can't believe. Okay, so I thought
I
thought it was like no. I thought everybody was talking about it.
Is it possible? Because at the beginning of the parasha talks about when Abraham was 75 years old, at least in the beginning, and then he made the pilgrimage. He went back and forth. Is there possible that maybe some time, because he was going all by foot with a flock of sheep, so he couldn't have been riding.
Avraham Avinu entered Israel twice.
Right, he left and came. So
after Berit ben Abetarim, he went back to Haran.
We're talking about the beginning of the parasha to the time the war broke out, sort of in the middle of the
Right.
parasha.
Right.
Had there been some lapse of time beyond that?
Right.
Meaning,
So we know that we have the Sefer Kabbalah and Seder Olam and the various books that go over the various states. Avraham Avinu was 75 years old at the time of the war.
So it was the same year as the beginning, meaning all of that transpired within the
exactly.
same year.
Exactly correct. Now, here's the craziest thing. This is like just a personal story, and Aki can attest to this. So back in 2001, I made this personal notes of using the book of Daniel and the Gemara and different things to just make a timeline of what's going to happen going forward, just in my own humble opinion. This is really crazy. I forgot. I didn't even realize it. So I'm just looking at this timeline. The timeline starts with Adam Rishon, when Adam was born, because he was actually born in year 2, whatever, it doesn't matter. When Avraham Avinu was born, when Shem was born, how long Shem lived, the whole thing. I did a whole long thing. So I know, for example, the Hachamim say Shem was alive when Yaakov Avinu was born. He was. If you do the math, meaning if you actually go to the numbers, it's exactly correct. He was still alive, which is amazing. Okay, so I did all these things, and I did a few things into the future. and I forgot I did this. I'm like looking at these notes. This is like literally this Friday night. I tell my kids, let's look at this. We're kind of finished with dinner, having dessert, and I'm seeing some things that I wrote that still didn't happen. Okay, no problem. I put it on YouTube, by the way, private video. Nobody can open it, but if I'm right, I'll make the private public, and then you see the timestamp, and you'll know it. Okay.
Prediction.
But anyway, I wrote on that paper, World War 2023. Now, the reason I knew that was because Avraham Avinu was born 1948, which is when the state of Israel was born, and when he was 75, it was 2023 on the Hebrew calendar. So in my opinion, I said 2023, like I actually, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like seeing the number 2023 war. I'm like, I forgot I wrote that. It was really crazy stuff. So, yeah, okay.
Right here.
Right, okay. No, I don't know, just whatever.
Nisan Igaim?
What?
I said Nisan Igaim?
I don't know.
Pesach?
I don't know if it's this Nisan or not. I don't know. I mean, I hope. Listen, the pasuk is really strange. Everything is happening so suddenly, like just like boom, like suddenly Nazis and waving Palestinian flags in America, just have swastikas. And they do also, by the way. It says like suddenly the Mashiach is going to be sitting on his throne. Like just boom, it's just going to happen. And like I really see it. Like things are happening so fast. Yeah. So I hope I hope B'Nisan Nigaya. Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, so that was 430 years. That's how we got to the counting of 430 years. So he says, Tenulanu sechar avodah, give us our wages. We're 600,000 people. We were slaves in Egypt 430 years. As I told you, we were actually in Egypt for 210 years. But it doesn't matter. You want to use the Torah, you think you know the Torah, okay, good, boom, we'll kill you. Wages, 430 years times 600,000 people. How are you going to do that? 400,000, just think of it. Let's say $20,000 a year for 600,000 people per year times 430. They'll bankrupt the whole country. Amalem Alexandrus Mokedon. Alexander the Great, hey, listen, it sounds like you owe like some crazy number. I don't know, was it $100 trillion? What do you owe them? You better answer them, because right now I'm about to make a verdict against you. Amru lo tenulanu zeman shelosha yamim. They said, listen, we need 3 days. But they checked and there was no answer. Miyad hinichu sedotehen keshehen zeruot. Immediately they just ran away from their sleep. They had real estate in Israel. So they left their fields, and they left their vineyards, and they never showed up the 3 days. This was again on Shinat Shemitah, and again on Shinat Shemitah, the people were not planting their fields, and because they were not planting their fields, there was a shortage of food. But God promises us that there's no such thing as a shortage of food on Shinat Shemitah. If you follow Shinat Shemitah, Hashem will make miracles so that you will have food. And here was a miracle that they had all this extra real estate, orchards and vineyards and fields. That was a
question. The fields were in Israel?
Yes.
So
yeah, because don't forget, this is during the Greek era. So like when they entered Israel, they were just in the areas of Judea, Samaria. Going from Egypt, they had more of the southern areas of Israel by the coast. That wasn't taken over by the Jewish people in those days. In those days, it was what they call the West Bank. Today, what they call the West Bank is Judea, Samaria. That's where they lived. The Jews.
How could they eat it though? If it's in Israel, the fields.
Why wouldn't they be able to eat it?
Because it's bad for you, or
No, you can eat the food. You can't work the land, but you can eat the fruit of the land. Whatever comes out, you eat. It's hefker. It has a legal status of hefker, public property. So the problem is not in eating the food. The problem is in working the land. And because they couldn't work the land, they wouldn't be able to. It didn't produce as much food. But you can eat, of course. Yes, whatever.
Even though this was worked, they were allowed to eat it?
Yeah, of course, because it was a goy.
Okay.
It was a goy, yeah, exactly. Right, okay. So now we have another story, also with Gebiab and Pesisa. What time is that? I don't have a what?
9:04.
Okay, somebody stopped me at 9:29 because I have another appointment I have to go to. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Beshuv Pamachat. Ishmael, That's just funny. This is so interesting. We got to this, and this is this week's parasha. So the children of Ishmael, And the children of Keturah, because when Avraham Avinu, when Sarai Menu passed away, Avraham Avinu got married to Keturah, and he had many children from Keturah. So the children of Ishmael and the children of Keturah, they came before Alexander the Great, and they said, we want to have a court against the Jewish people, a case against the Jewish people. Laduni misel if Alexandros Makedon. Amrulo. They said the following: Your Majesty, Eres Canaan shelanu v'shelachem. They said, listen, the land of Israel belongs to us and belongs to the Jewish people. We don't want everything. We don't want everything. They're a little more normal than the Canaanites and the Egyptians, right? They say we want some of it, right? Dichtiv. The pasuk says, "Ve'ele toledot Ishmael ben Abraham." The pasuk says Ishmael was the son of Abraham. Uchtiv ve'ele toledot Yitzchak ben Abraham. The pasuk says Isaac was the son of Abraham. So why does Isaac get the entire land of Israel and Ishmael gets nothing? So the Jewish people, the Hachamim in Jerusalem, they got a summons. Again, Alexander the Great inviting you again to his court, right? There's another complaint against the Jewish people. Again, Gebiah ben Pesisat tells the Hachamim the same thing. Amar Gebiah ben Pesisat Hachamim, Tenu li reshut ve'elech v'adu limahem lifnei Alexandros Makedon. Im yenaschuni imnu hediot shebalu nisachtem. Im ani nasech atchem imnu lahem tolo Moshe Rabbeinu nisachtechem. You right, same exact argument as before. Let me go. If it ends up that they defeat me, you can always say this guy wasn't even admitted to the bar. Who is he? It was a mistake. We don't know how we ended up using him. Right? Natnu lo reshut. They said, okay, go for it. He's a great lawyer. Halach v'dani mahem. And he's hearing the complaint of the children of Ishmael, the children of Keturah. Amar lahem. He said, tell me, where are you bringing your proof from? That, you're the children of Avraham Avinu. Who says who? Amnu min Torah. It says the Torah says we're the children of Avraham Avinu. Ele toledot Ishmael, Yitzchak ben Avraham. Ele toledot Ishmael ben Avraham and ben Keturah. Is this week's parasha, right? Amru lo min Torah. Amar lehem afani lo avi ra'aya min Torah. I said, okay, no problem. The Torah is a basis. I'm going to also bring a proof from the Torah. Shneimar, and this is this week's parasha. Vayiten Avraham et kol shelo leYitzchak. The pasuk says that Avraham Avinu gave everything he owned to Yitzchak. It's right there, black on white. Velibnei pilakshim asher leAvraham, as far as the children of Keturah, Natan Avraham matanot. He gave him gifts, right? He gave him gifts. Av shenatan. Let me read to you the pasuk just so you hear what happened, so you have the full picture. So this is Hayeh Sarah. At the end of Hayeh Sarah, after Sarai passes away, Avraham Avinu marries Keturah, and the pasuk says in Maftir, it says as follows. Okay. All right. Okay. Yitzchak marries Rivka. And then, here it is. It says, Vayosef Avraham ekach isha u'shmaha Keturah. Okay? So he has children from Keturah. Vateled lo et Zimran, Yokshan, Medan, Midian. So Midian was one of the children. That's where Yitro comes from, right? Yitro comes from Midian. Yishbak, Shuach, right? So all these children, and then it goes the children of the children, and the pasuk says, "Vayiten Avraham et kol asher lo leYitzchak." It says explicitly, Abraham had all these children. Very nice. Everything he had, he gave to Yitzchak. Velibnei pilakshim asher leAvraham. What about all these children that he had from Keturah? Natan Avraham matanot. He gave him gifts. Vayishallechem me'al Yitzchak beno. He says, please do me a favor, get lost. He wasn't mean. They were his children, of course. So he spoke nicely. But he convinced them, you should go to Saudi Arabia. It's going to be good over there. Trust me, it's just desert. No. Trust me, it's going to be good in Saudi Arabia. Right? Go to Dubai, go to United Arab Emirates, go to Bahrain. Listen, these are the children of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu loved them. So they got all the oil in the world. Okay, no problem. Not that bad. Saudi Arabia wants to make peace with Israel. Yeah. It's in their interest. United Arab Emirates already made peace with Israel. Bahrain also wants. So the only thing left there is Qatar. Qatar is a problem. We'll see what we do with them. But they were the children of Avraham Avinu. So he sent them, go there, go. It's going to be good. It was true. While he was alive, he sent them to the east, all the way to the east. That's where, right? So we see that he sends them away, he sends them away, far away. And also with respect to Ishmael, it says, Al Penecho Lecham Nafal, also Ishmael went to the east. So we know that all that area, which is all the oil reserves in the world, they went to the children of Avraham Avinu. So, getting back to the case before Alexander the Great, where the children of Ishmael and the children of Keturah saying we want part of Israel, so they say, but the Pasuk says that Abraham sent them away, right? Av shenatan agatin lebanav bechayav. Let's say, for example, a father, he has a few sons. He takes some of his sons, he says, listen, I'm writing you now a deed while you're alive. I'm going to give you instead of waiting for the will, I'm going to give you your gifts now and go away. You go there, you go to this city, I have a factory there, I have a retail store there, everybody go to their place. And everybody has a specific spot that the father sends them to. But one of them, no. Does anybody have a claim after the father dies? No. So that's it. Avraham Avinu already said what he wanted to say, and he did what he wanted to do. So you get nothing. So that's it. That was the end of the. That was the end. By the way, you notice there's no counterclaim against Bnei Ishmael and Bnei Keturah, because I think the thought is with the Canaanim, there's always going to be, no good.
They're always going to fight back.
They're always going to fight back, and they got mixed in with the Amalekim. Yeah, Canaan and Amalek, they're mixed in together. Okay. With Misraim, also we know Misraim is like Canaan, they're evil. The Torah says that, the Tanakh says in Zechariah, that in the future all the nations will come to Israel to come to the Beit HaMikdash and bring Korbanot. Misraim, Egypt, won't do it, and God is going to curse the Egyptians. So Egyptians also curse. Yeah. Egypt cursed, Canaan cursed. Ishmael, Bnei Keturah, we can make peace with them. Here it doesn't say that Gebiha ben Pesisa attacked them. There was no attack, there was no countersuit, there was no counterclaim, nothing at all. You see that? So you see it. Okay. So now the Gemara asks a question. It says, what were the matanot that Avraham Avinu gave? My matanot, what gifts did he give them? The truth, the peshat is the gifts that he gave them is the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. But the Gemara says something different. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba melamed shemasar lahem shem tum'ah. It teaches that Avraham Avinu taught them some impure name. What does it mean, an impure name? Meaning, like a magical name. What does that mean? So, Avraham Avinu gave them some power through which they would be able to commit their illicit behavior. Now, we spoke about Dubai and all that. I'll just give you an example. So, somebody once came to me, do you want to be the rabbi in Dubai? They're looking for a rabbi there. I said, no, not really. It doesn't interest me. He said, you know what, Rabbi, you're right. It's not a good place to have family and kids. I said, why? He says, a lot of like wealth, tremendous wealth, and the streets are just filled with, illicit, let's say.
It says unholy utterance.
A holy utterance, right. No. So meaning, he gave him a shem, a magical name. The magical name is the wealth and the power that these people have. But what do they use it for? Tum'ah. They use it for tum'ah. So you go to Dubai, it's very wealthy, very this. And by the way, I give them credit, they're good with the Jews. In Dubai, if you insult a Jew or if you threaten a Jew, they put you in jail immediately. No questions asked. You know what I'm saying here? If you insult a Jew or threaten a Jew, it's not really, it's okay, it's not.
You're put into Congress.
Well, I'm sorry?
If you do it here, you're put into Congress.
You're put into Yes, you're right. Well said. So I'm not saying it to be mean, but there's a lot of tum'ah there. There's a lot of Las Vegas, I guess, on steroids. Maybe that's what we'll call it.
Yes.
Right. So that's a Shem Tumah. You understand Shem meaning magical name to perform Tumah. What's the magic? There was no magic. There's oil fields. That's that. Okay, Shem Tumah.
Is Shem Tumah here, does it mean like renowned? Like they're famous?
No.
Being licentious?
Oh, I like that. That's nice. I see what you're saying. But no, here it's meant in a sense of magical, some special power. Some special power. Like abracadabra, right? So some special power. And I'm taking it to the context of the modern world where we find out that what Avraham Avinu gave them was unbelievable wealth, right? With which they can do Tumah. So that's why I understand it. Shem, Tumah. But I like it. I don't discount what you said. I think it's a nice point. He's saying Shem means the fame. The word in Hebrew, Shem, like if you have a name for something, that he's saying it's going to be a name of people who are Teme'im. People are going to associate with Tumah. Okay, interesting, fine.
It's a weird gift.
Right, I like mine more. Because mine makes sense, you see, because He gave them power. He gave them, listen, they have power. These people have power because of the oil, right? So this whole thing of electricity, electric cars, any place that's going green, they have no energy. Like California, they have all these brownouts all the time in the summer. People are dying from heat. It's just a fact. I'm not saying the world isn't warming. I'm not getting into that. It's not the point whether there is or isn't global warming. I'm just saying they have power. These people have power because this is energy. The solar panels, you can cover all of Germany with solar panels. You still wouldn't be able to have enough meaning. If you have no buildings in Germany, just one giant solar panel, there's not enough energy to run the country. So they have the Arabs have power, right?
But through legislation, we've given them that power.
Oh, you're right. I mean, you're saying right.
We have plenty of.
But it shows,
oil
right?
here.
Interesting. It shows the strength of the beracha of Abraham Avinu that America can make themselves. They were, by the way. I think in the days of Donald Trump, we were energy independent.
Yes.
You're right. But you're right. Okay. All right. Correct. Okay. So that's it. What time is it now? I'm sorry.
9:15.
No, okay, 15 minutes. אמר רבי יואב רבה, מלמד okay, אמר לאנטונינוס לרבי. Now we're going to get back to things related to techiyat hametim, the soul, the body, the relationship between the soul and the body. So this is kind of Kabbalistic, I would call it, right? So אמר לאנטונינוס לרבי. So Antoninus this is Antoninus Pius. He was the emperor of Rome in the days of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, and he had a very good relationship with Rabbeinu HaKadosh, who was the editor of the Mishnah. This is decades after the destruction of the second Bet HaMikdash. Okay. He says as follows. So Antoninus tells Rabbi, Guf und Shama. I was thinking of something, that the human being is composed of body and soul. So for example, you have, let's say, a monkey, or you have a cat, or some other creature. So every creature in the world has a body, but there's no neshama in the creature. The creature doesn't have a neshama. When the creature dies, it's over. That's it. When you bury your pet or whatever it is, the pet that's it. It's gone. There's nothing eternal about the animal, right? It's over. Okay. Then you have neshamot without a body. You have, for example, the malachim. So the malachim are pure intellect, pure spirit, and there's no body. What's nice, or what's not nice, what's unique about man is that we're a combination of body and spirit, right? That's it. So he says something interesting. Antonino says, I was thinking about this. If they wanted to, the body, after the person dies, the body can blame the neshama and tell God, it's the neshama's fault that they were sinning. And the neshama could tell God, God, it's the body's fault that I was sinning. Kesad, what am I talking about? Guf Omer. The body now is standing before God, and God is going to judge it. Why did you do this sin? Why did you do this avon? So the Guf is going to say, Neshama hatat. It's because of the Neshama. I would not have done any avonot. It's because it's the Neshama's fault. Shemiyom shepirsha mimeni areni mutal ke'even domem bakever. And I'll prove it to you, God. Since the Neshama left me, I'm here inside the grave. I'm not moving. I'm not eating. I'm not making any avonot. I'm completely motionless. So what do you see from here? That while I was alive, I was doing avonot. It's not because of me. It's because of the neshama. The neshama made me do it. All right. Here, no neshama, no avonot. All right. Unshama omeret, and the neshama standing before God can say the following: Guf hataf. Look, I am not responsible. It's the body that made me make the avonot. Shemiyom shepirashi mimenu, from the day that I, the neshama, left my body, hareni porachat ba'aver kesipor. I'm flying in the sky like a bird. Like the neshama leaves the body, it suddenly becomes free, and it could go to olam haba, and it's not constrained by the physical constraints. But now I'm not making any more avonot. I'm like a malach. Amale, so Rabbeinu HaKadosh told Antoninus Pius, he said the following: let me tell you what this is like. Lemelech basar vadam. Imagine there's a king. Shalo Paldesa has a beautiful orchard. And this orchard has amazing figs, gorgeous figs, naot. Now, what does the king do? He doesn't want to have regular guards in the orchard, because if he has a regular guard in the orchard, they might eat from the figs. right? But he wants to have guards in the orchard. So what does he do? He has two guards there. One of these guards is lame. He can't walk properly, right? What's the word for that? Chiger. Lame? Lame. Okay. One of them is chiger. Why? He puts them there because the king is saying that if somebody comes in, he's going to see that person is coming in, and he's going to tell the other guy, go get him. I can't do anything, but I can see at least, right? So you go get him. So one of them is lame, but because he's lame, he's not going to be able to climb up to the trees and get the figs. The other one is blind. The blind person can't climb to the tree, but you need the blind person there because the lame person is going to tell the blind person, somebody's walking into the orchard. Go there. No, not that way. Go there. Okay. So this is what he does. He doesn't want anybody eating the fruits. All right. So he puts a lame and a blind man guarding his orchard. They're there. And the lame person tells the blind person, I gotta tell you, these figs look really amazing. These are like amazing looking figs. But Pardes, he says, I have an idea. Put me on top of your back. I can't go to the top of the tree. I'm lame. I can barely move. But I'll climb on top of your back. And I'll guide you to where to take me to the tree. And I'll be able to pick the fruits and then we'll eat them. So the lame person is now on top of the blind person. He's telling the blind person which way to go. The blind person is going. They get the figs. They have They plucked the figs. And they ate them. Ooh, that was good. Now, eventually, the owner of the orchard, who was a king, the king comes and he sees that somebody ate his figs. What happened to my figs? What is going on here? The lame person says, look, don't look at me. I can't move. There's no way I can get to the top of the tree. Do I have legs? So the king now is looking at the blind person. The blind person is saying, oh, don't look at me. I'm blind. I can't see anything. So what did the king do? He was on to them. He took the lame person, put him on top of the blind person. He brought them into court like that. He says, okay, I see the way you're standing now. You know which way to walk. You know which way to go. You can't. Well, you're blind. Well, you have the lame person on top of you. And he nailed them. I'm going to judge the two of you together. No problem. Also God, the neshama by itself can't do anything. Right? It has no ability to do anything. The body by itself can't do anything. The guf, the body, wants to do avonot, right? But it can't do it unless it has a neshama. The neshama is what gives it life. So it needs the life of the neshama to do the avonot. So God takes the neshama, He puts it in the body. When it's time to judge the person for what he did, He's going to judge them together. He's not going to judge them separately. Because if He judges them separately, each one is going to say, I'm innocent, I didn't do anything. Look at me, I'm just a neshama. The body says, I'm just a body. He says, no problem, I'm going to judge you together. I'm going to judge the body together with the neshama. And there's a connection between the body and the neshama. That's why on Yom Kippur, when we fast, you say, what's fasting? You say the body is fasting. That's what the pasuk says. What does the pasuk say on Yom Kippur? You're causing suffering to your neshama, because the two things are connected. So when the body is suffering, the neshama is suffering. When the body is making an avot, you corrupt avon. When the body is making a sin, when the body is doing something bad, the neshama is getting corrupted. But that whatever that avon is, you're having a cheeseburger and now this is amazing, cheeseburger, good. You're corrupting your neshama. So God is going to judge the two things together. That's why on Yom Kippur, when we get kapara for our neshama by making our body suffer, which is the opposite of the avon, which is what is an avon? We use the body to enjoy something, and now the neshama is enjoying it. So the opposite, the kapara, is your body is going to suffer and your neshama is going to suffer as a result. That's a kapara. So God judges the two things together, never separately. Right. God is going to call, and the pasuk says God calls upon the heavens above and the earth below to judge His nation, because there is this combination. Right, there is a combination of these two things, the spiritual and the physical, and this combination is where God judges humanity. Yikrai l'shamayim me'al zo neshama. The heavens above represents the neshama, the soul of the person. Ve'la'aretz ladin amo ze haguf. And the earth below represents the body, the physical. So these two things together are judged. What is the time?
9:24. 9:25.
Okay, we'll do one more incident or one more discussion, then we will continue next week. Amar lo Antoninos l'Rabbi. So Antoninos Pius had another question to Rabbeinu Kadosh, and it's as follows. He says, look, I want you to tell me, why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? Okay, why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? Right? I gotta tell you that if the sun was rising in the west and setting in the east, you probably would have asked me, why is the sun rising in the west and setting in the east? But now that the sun is rising in the east and setting in the west, you're asking me about that. It's arbitrary. You're just asking me the question for the sake of asking the question. Anything that happens, you can say, why is green green and orange orange? Okay, he says, no. That wasn't my question. Amale, oh my gosh, wait, you have more sushi? Oh, so forget it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm done now, so we'll go back together because the other thing. Okay. All right. So he says, no, that's not the question. The question was as follows. What happened? No, not a wedding. No. Okay. Amale. No, the question I'm really asking is as follows. Why does the sun, I'm really asking about the west. Why did God choose the west as a place for the sun to set? That's my question. Because God wanted people to show the proper homage to He who created them. Okay, so there's something I learned from my father. It's Shekhinah v'ma'arav. The Shekhinah is in the west. And we will discuss this next week. So because the Shekhinah is in the west, everything always goes towards the west. So the sun, so to speak, bows down, and all the stars and everything go towards the west, like bowing down before the Shekhinah, to show that we recognize that there's a creator to the world. Next week we'll start from here, and I will review this in greater depth.